By the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Dear second year ISP students, welcome again in your favorite module, Medical English, and again we will see another course. I hope that you will enjoy with us today. So, in the previous sessions we have seen the English language tree and its different uses or different domains, and we have arrived till our objective, which was the English for medical science. And in the next course or the second course we have seen the anatomy of the body besides a small vocabulary about the medical healthcare domain. Today we will change the topic a little bit and we will study some basic about English language or the grammar rules. So the grammar, as you know, is always needed to master any language. That's why the aim of learning English is to use the English language correctly in all forms of communication. This largely depends on one's knowledge of the underlying rules or the code that governs the use of language. A proper knowledge of grammar forms the foundation of any language learning. But it is more important to use grammar accurately and appropriately in language. Thus, functional grammar, which illustrates the correct use of the language, words order, structure of words, and their meaning. Here the point is that when you learn words order and the structure of them, you can put them correctly in the sentence, and by that you will be able to produce new sentences and complete one and transmit your message easily. So, we have first to deal with parts of speech. Let's start by a word. What is a word? A word is defined as a sound or combination of sounds forming a unit of grammar or vocabulary of language. Words have different forms which are called parts of speech. So, word is the smallest unit in the sentence. While studying sentence patterns, we have to know the nature of the words, subject, verbs, predicate to know the correct pattern. Of course, we have to know what is the nature of the word in the sentence to select the pattern of our sentence. Let's first start and define what is a sentence. So, to study change in meaning, we must have words to indicate this change. Tense, which is change in time, voice, change in the meaning of the verb, and singular, plural, change in the number of the nouns. So here, tense is absolutely the change of time, while voice, when you are talking, for example, calm, then you speak loudly, it means that you are angry, and there is a change of the meaning of the verb. Singular, plural can lead us to know the number of the nouns. So, a sentence is a set of words that is complete in itself, typically containing a subject, predicate, conveying a statement, question, exclamation, or command, and consisting of main clause, and sometimes one or more subordinate clauses. A sentence also must have a verb. It always begins with a capital letter and usually marked in writing by a final punctuation mark, such as full stop, a question mark, or an exclamation mark, and that makes a complete sense and can stand on its own, which means a sentence gives a meaning when it stands alone. So, let's see some types of sentences. First, we have a declarative sentences, which are simply makes a statement or expresses an opinion. In other words, it makes a declaration. This kind of sentence ends with a period or a full stop. I want to be a good writer. Here the sentence makes a statement and tell us that the author or the speaker want to be a good writer. The second example is, my friend is a really good writer, and which expresses an opinion. So here the writer expresses his opinion through a declarative sentence. Second, imperative sentence gives a command or makes a request. It is usually ends with a period but can, under certain circumstances, end with an exclamation point. Here, like the examples, please sit down, or I need you to sit down now. So here the difference is in the degree of politeness while talking to someone. When you respect someone, you have to say, I need you to sit down now, or the use of the word please. Let's move to the third type of sentence, which is interrogative sentence. which asks a question. This type of sentence often begins with who, what, where, when, why, how, or do, and it ends generally with a question mark, like the following examples. When are you going to turn in your writing assignment? Do you know what the weather will be tomorrow? So here the aim is always about asking about something. We will move to the fourth type, which is exclamatory sentence, and it is a sentence that expresses great emotion, such as excitement, surprise, happiness, or anger, and ends generally with an exclamation point. Like here, it is so dangerous to climb that mountain. I got an A on my book report. So here you can change your voice, or you can change your degree of speaking according to the degree of exclamation. Let's move to the subject and predicate, which are necessary to know in the sentence. Every complete sentence contains two parts, a subject and a predicate. The subject is what or whom the sentence is about, while the predicate tells us something about the subject. So the subject here is the doer of the action, while the predicate is what comes after the subject. In the following examples, or in the following sentences, the predicate is included in braces, while the subject is highlighted. Like here, Judy runs. Judy is the subject, or the doer of the action, and runs, the verb, is the predicate. We have also another example, which is Judy and her dog, and here we have a compound subject, which means that the subject is composed from two or more people or things. Here we have Judy and her dog run on the beach every morning. So the predicate here is run on the beach every day morning. Be careful with sentences that begin with there, plus a form of the verb to be. In such sentences, there is not the subject. It merely signals that the true subject will soon follow. There were 3 stray kittens cowering under our porch steps this morning. If you ask who or what before the verb, where cowering, the answer is 3 stray kittens. The correct subject here is 3 stray kittens. So, the form there plus the verb or the auxiliary to be is not the subject. Let's move to the simple subject and simple predicate. Noun or pronoun or more that when stripped of all the words that modify it is known as a simple subject. Here is the example: a piece of pepperoni pizza would satisfy his hunger. The subject is built around the noun piece, with the other words of the subject, a, and of pepperoni pizza modifying the noun. Piece is the simple subject, or let's say the core subject. Likewise, a predicate has its center, or a simple predicate, like we have seen in the subject, or the core predicate, which is always the verb, or verbs that link up with the subject. In the example we just considered, the simple predicate is would satisfy, and here we are talking about the previous example, and would satisfy here is the compound predicate. In other words, the verb of the sentence. A sentence also may have a compound subject, a simple subject consisting of more than one noun or pronoun, as in these examples. Tin pennants, rock posters, and family photographs covered the boys' bedroom walls. So here we have a compound subject, which is tin pennants, rock posters, and family photographers. As you see here, we have 3 or more participants or 3 or more subjects. The second example is her uncle and she walked slowly through the Inuit art gallery and admired the powerful sculpture exhibited there. The second sentence above features a compound predicate, a predicate that includes more than one verb pertaining to the same subject. In this case, walked and admired, like we have seen in the previous example. Here we have a compound predicate contained from 2 verbs. Let's talk about objects and complements. Objects. A verb may be followed by an object that completes the verb's meaning. 2 kinds of object follow verbs. We have direct object and we have indirect object. So the difference here between direct and indirect object is that the direct object is directly related to the verb, while the indirect object you will have an object, then you will have the indirect object. So it is not related directly to the verb. The second sentence above also contains an indirect object. An indirect object, which, like a direct object, is always a noun or a pronoun, is in a sense the recipient of the direct object. To determine if the verb has an indirect object, isolate the verb and ask to whom or to what, for whom or for what. After it, the answer is the indirect object. Here in the example we have here, her secret admirer gave her a bucket of flowers. So here, when you ask her secret admirer gave what or gave to whom, you will find the answer that he gives her a bucket of flowers, and her is the direct object in the example. Not all verbs are followed by object. Consider the verbs in the following sentences. The guest speaker rose from her chair to protest. After work, Randy usually jogs around the canal. So here in the two examples, we will find that the verb is not followed by an object at all. So let's move to another item, which is transitive and intransitive verbs, which are verbs that take object are known as transitive verbs, and verbs not followed by object are called intransitive verbs. Some verbs can be either transitive verbs or intransitive verbs depending on the context, and it is generally the action verbs. Like here, we have a direct object for the verb win. I hope the Senators win the next game. So the object here is the next game. And in the second example, we will have no direct object, and we will see the sentence, did we win, which is a question, and we don't find any direct or indirect object. Let's talk about subject complements. In addition to the transitive verbs and the intransitive verb, there is a third kind of verb called a linking verb. The word or phrase which follows a linking verb is called not an object, but a subject complement. The most common linking verb is the auxiliary to be, of course. Other linking verbs are become, seem, appear, feel, grow, look, smell, or taste. So generally the verbs here replaces or works like the auxiliary to be and express the state rather than the action and sound, among others. Note that some of these are sometimes linking verbs, sometimes transitive verbs, or sometimes intransitive verbs, depending on how you use them in the sentence. Linking verb here with the subject complement. He was a radiologist before he became a full-time yoga instructor. So here we have the auxiliary to be in the past tense, and it will be was. He was a radiologist. So a radiologist here is the subject complement. And we have also the second chapter of the sentence, which is he became a full-time yoga instructor. So became is the verb here, or the linking verb. A full-time yoga instructor or yoga instructor is the subject complement for the second part. Transitive verb with direct object. I can't smell anything with this terrible cold. So, I can't smell anything with this terrible cold. Here the example tells us that there is a transitive verb with a direct object which is anything. Intransitive verb with no object. The interior of the beautiful new book smells strongly of fish. Note that a subject complement can be either a noun, radiologist, instructor, or an adjective, which is delicious. An object complement is similar to a subject complement, except that obviously it modifies an object rather than a subject. So the difference here between object complement and subject complement is whether the subject complement modifies a subject and an object complement always defines an object. Consider this example of a subject complement. The driver seems tired. As we have talked before, to seem, or the verb to seem, is a linking verb expressing a state, not an action. In this case, as explained above, the adjective tired modifies the noun driver, which is the subject of the sentence. Sometimes, however, the noun will be the object, as in the following example. I consider the driver tired. So we changed the example a little bit and we are putting an action verb instead of a linking verb, and here we have a direct object or an object complement. I consider the driver tired. So tired here describes the driver, not the subject I. In this case, the noun driver is the direct object of the verb consider, but the adjective tired, as we have said, defines the object. In general, verbs which have to do with perceiving, judging, or changing something can cause their direct object to take an object complement, like in the example, paint it black. The judge ruled her out of order. I saw the prime minister sleeping. So here, all the parts of sentence here are modifying the object. In every case, you could reconstruct the last part of the sentence into another form, like we have seen before, to know the direct or the object complement. So let's move to another part of our lesson, which is the parts of speech. First, we have to deal with nouns. What is a noun? What is its nature? And what is its role in the sentence? A noun is a word that refers to a person, a place, a thing or event, substance or quality, and we have 8 types of them: common noun, proper noun, collective noun, compound, concrete and abstract, and countable and non-countable nouns. So, first, common noun. What is a common noun? A common noun is a name given to all objects of one class. For example, a boy, a table, or chair, or mountain. So here we give a common noun for objects that they share the same scope or the same group. Second, what is a proper noun? A proper noun is the name of a particular person or a place, like Muhammad, Ahmed, London, Paris, and so on and so forth. A third element is collective noun. The collective noun is the name of group of persons or places considered as one whole or one team. Like here we have group, team, band, or family, which are all the same group. And the fourth point, we will see abstract noun. An abstract noun is usually the name of things that we can't see or touch. They refer feeling, love, childhood, sadness, sleep, life, death. And those things are abstract, or we can't touch them or either smell them or ever see them, which means our 5 senses could not be able to know this feeling or these things. 5. Material noun refers to the name of materials or object, like sugar, gold, and silver. We have also to see forming plural and feminine forms in English. As we know, in English there is no difference between the women and the men, or between the feminine or the masculine, only there are some exceptions. There are many plural noun rules, and because we use nouns so frequently when writing, it is important to know all of them. The correct spelling of plurals usually depends on what letter the singular noun ends in. So, as a first rule, to make regular nouns plural, added an s to the end, like the example cat, cats, house, houses. Here we are forming the plural by adding a simple s to the end of the word. The second rule is, if the singular noun ends in s or double s, sh, ch, x, or z, added es, or we add an es to the end to make it plural, like truss, trusses, bus, buses. For the third rule, we have in some cases singular nouns ending in s or z require that you double the s or z prior to adding the es for pluralization, like the example fez, feces, gas, gases. As you see here, words end with s or z, and before this letter we have a vowel. We have to double the s or the z for them. The fourth rule is, if the noun ends with f or fe, the f is often changed to ve before adding the s to form the plural version, like the example wife, wives, wolf, wolf. So here we omit the f and put instead of it a v and added an s or es according to the word. Here are some exceptions in words ending with F. Roof, roofs, believe, beliefs, chef, chefs, chief, chiefs. So here we cannot omit the F, and the words here are some exceptions. We only need to add an S to form their plural. The fifth rule is if a singular noun ends in Y and the letter before the Y is a consonant, change the ending to IAS to make the noun plural, like in the example, city, cities, puppy, puppies. Here we see there is a Y in the end, and before the Y we have a consonant, a T or either a P or any other consonant. We have to omit the Y and put instead of it IAS and get the plural easily. So the sixth rule is if the singular noun ends in Y and the letter before the Y is a vowel, not like the fifth example. So the letter before the Y is a vowel, we simply added an S to make it plural, like the example ray, rays, boy, boys. Here we have an A or an O, which are vowels before our end in Y. The seventh rule is the singular noun ends in O. We add ES to make it plural, like the example potato, potatoes, tomato, tomatoes. We only have to add an ES to the end of the word. Here are also some exceptions. Photo, photos, piano, pianos, hollow, hollows, and we can't here add an ES. We are obliged to add an S only, and I will let you next to see the list of exceptions. With the unique word volcano, you can apply the standard pluralization for words that end in O or not. It's your choice. Both of the following are correct. Volcanoes, volcanoes. So here the rule is we have some exception words and we can either add an ES or an S directly, and both of the two forms are correct. The eighth rule is if the singular noun ends in as, the plural ending is frequently E. Like here the example, cactus, the plural is cacti. Focus is the plural is foci. We have to omit the as and add an S simply to get our plural form. The ninth rule, if the singular noun ends in ES, the plural ending ES or the plural ending is ES. Like here, analysis, analysis, ellipsis, ellipsis. The 10th rule, if the singular noun ends in on, the plural ending is A. Like here, the word phenomenon, and its plural is phenomena. Criterion, criteria. Some nouns don't change at all when they are pluralized, like the example sheep, sheep, series, series, species, species, or deer, deer. So here are the words which do not change even in the singular or the plural form. You need to see these nouns in context to identify them as a singular or plural, considering the following sentence. So here to know whether the word is in singular form or in the plural form, you have to see the conjugation of the verb. Like here, Mark caught 1 fish, but I caught 3 fish. Here, fish and fish are in the same form. You have to see the verb in which form it is conjugated, or with which number is conjugated. Plural noun rules for irregular nouns. As we have regular nouns and rules for pluralization, we have also irregular nouns follow. No specific rules, so it's best for you to memorize this or look up the proper pluralization in the dictionary. We have the word child, children, goose, geese, man, man, with an E, woman, a woman with E, tooth, teeth. So here there is no rule or there is no specific rule. There are some words which change irregularly and you have to take them by heart. And here we will have some masculine, feminine forms, As we have talked before, there is no difference between masculine or feminine forms in English, but we have some exceptions. In general, there is no distinction between masculine and feminine in English nouns, but sometimes we show gender in different words when referring to people or animals. Like we have talked before, there is no difference between male and female in English language, but there are some exceptions. Here we have a neutral and a feminine and a masculine. What is a neutral noun? A neutral noun is usually used when we don't know the sex of the doer of the action or the subject. Like here, man, woman. When it is neutral, we say person. A father, mother, and we say parent for neutral noun. A boy and a girl in the feminine form, and we say a child when we don't know the sex of the boy or the girl. Husband, wife, or spouse for the neutral form. An actor, its feminine is actress, and it doesn't have any neutral gender. Here, waiter, waitress, or a server. Second, we have to deal with pronouns. Pronouns are words that substitute a noun or another pronoun. Examples of pronouns are he, she, who, themselves, and we have many types of pronouns. First, subject pronouns. I, you, he, she, it, we, they. So the normal pronouns that you know are the subject pronouns or personal pronouns. Object pronouns also is me, you, him, her, it, us, or them. We have also reflexive pronouns. Myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, ourselves, themselves. We have also possessive nouns, which are mine, yours, his, hers, ours, their, which shows a possession about something or when we possess anything. Demonstrative pronouns this, that, those, this, and they are generally used to demonstrate something. Relative pronouns, we have who, which, that, whose, and they refer generally to a subject or an object in the sentence. So here is a table or a figure shows us the different uses or the different forms of pronouns. We have here first person, second person, third person. While in the nominative form or in the subject, we can use I, we as a personal pronouns. In the second person, we use singular and plural form by using the personal pronoun you. While in the third person, in the singular form, we use he, she, or it. While in the plural form, we use they. Moving to the objective. When we are talking about an object, not a subject, we use me or us, and you for a second person. Him, her, it, and them are used for the third person, either is in singular or a plural. We will move to possessive nominative. So here we have my or our, and this shows possession. When we are dealing with the first person, we use my or our. Where we are dealing with the second person, absolutely we will use your. His, her, and its or their are used for the third person, either in the singular form or in the plural form. Finally, we have the possessive objective. Mine, ours, for the first person, either in the singular or in the plural form. When talking to someone in the second person, and you have to show the possessive objective, you will say yours. His, hers, and its and theirs are used for the third person, and later on, inshallah, we will see an activity or more detailed activity about the pronouns. Our last part of course is the adjectives in English grammar. So what is an adjective? Adjective can tell us something about a person or a thing, or describes a thing or a person, or modifies it. What do adjectives modify? Adjectives can modify nouns, pronouns, or names. Here the example is, we are modifying a person, we say, Mandy is a careful girl. While in the second example, we are modifying a thing, which is, this is a nice car. A nice here is the adjective, and it is modifying the car, which is a thing. An adjective can be put after the verb to be, or this is called predicative position. Like in the example, the girl is careful, and while we are modifying a thing, we can say this car is nice. So as you see here, adjectives can go after the following verbs: appear, become, feel, get, keep, turn. So here, as you notice, these verbs are state verbs, not an action verbs, which means that the adjective here expresses or modifies a state. When we speak about what something looks like, smell, sounds, or taste, we use the adjectives, and that is the linking verb. Mind the difference between adjective and an adverb. We will see this difference later on, inshallah. I feel great. She looks good. It seems impossible. The steak smells fantastic. Fourth, can adjectives be used without nouns? Yes, absolutely. Adjectives can be used without nouns. Mind the definite article. The rich people. So here, the rich is the adjective and it stands alone. Here is an example from the fairy tale Cinderella. The good must be put in the dish. The bad you may eat if you wish. Here is another example with nationalities in the plural. The Scottish live in the north of the United Kingdom. So the examples here shows us that an adjective can stand its alone. Here we have good and bad and Scottish to describe Scottish people who live in the north. 5. Can two or more adjectives be used together? Yes. If you use more adjectives, you can put them in front of the noun. A fat old cat. Or you can put that after the verb. Example, to be. While using a sentence or using two adjectives, you have to put them in the correct order, and we will see that later on how to order the adjectives. 6. Adjectives ending in E and ed. There are adjectives ending in ing and ed. These are participle constructions used like adjectives. Like the example, playing, listening are adjectives ending with ing, and they are generally made from a verb or a past participle. Here the adjective is put before the noun. Yesterday I read an amazing story in a magazine. Doris has a boring job. We watched the group of excited people. So here the examples show us that the adjective can also be put behind the noun. B. Here the adjective is put after the verb. I was not at all amused by the discussion. Children get bored very quickly. The end of the film was really exciting for me. So here the adjective is put after the verb, not like the previous example, which is the adjective were put before the verb. 7. Adjectives with irregular forms. There are a few adjectives that have irregular forms when made into comparative or superlative adjectives. With this you don't add an er or est at all, and they don't include the words more or most. In some cases, a whole new word is used. These irregular forms just have to be memorized. The example in the printable above still follow the format of initial adjective, comparative adjective, and superlative adjective. Like the word good, it will become better and best in the superlative form. We have to see also what is a comparative and superlative adjectives. An initial adjective, also called a positive adjective, on its own describes a noun. Take for example, he is tall. The comparative adjectives in the printable below show how you can make comparisons easily between two entities by adding er for a comparative adjective. So here we have a regular adjective which is tall. So to compare between two things, we have only to add er to have the superlative form, and we say he is taller than she. The superlative adjective adding est makes even higher levels of comparison. In the example, the adjective tall will be tallest. So here he is the tallest kid in the class. And here we are obliged to use or to add an est instead of saying or mentioning the word more or most when the adjective is regular, and you get the superlative form. So here is the end of our course. Hope that you have enjoyed with us. See you.